Hello everybody, Nathan here, and over the weekend I've spent some time trying out the alpha for the upcoming competitive multiplayer shooter Lawbreakers, and the new game mode that was being tested out called Turf War. So today I wanted to talk about my opinions on the new game mode and my thoughts on the prospects of Lawbreakers as a whole. So first things first, what is Turf War? Well, imagine domination in Call of Duty or Battlefield. You've got 3 points that both teams are trying to capture. 2 of them are next to the spawns for each team, and the other is a central point. Now, in domination, those 3 points would always be open for teams to fight over, and they'd go back and forth between both teams throughout the match. In Turf War though, when a point's been captured, it's locked out and can't be contested anymore. After all 3 points have been taken, the score is added up and the points unlock again. And this keeps happening until one team has 13 points, and that's how you win the game. Now that system has its positives and its negatives, so first let's talk about what I liked about the mode. Well, the fact that each point returns to neutral after they've all been captured creates frantic moments where all points are up for grabs, and it makes it almost impossible for a team to take an objective and just hold it for the entire match. I don't think I've played in a single game where the same team took the central point in every round. The central point is also located within a low gravity zone, which allows for some really cool gameplay moments, where you get a verticality advantage over your opponent, or certain abilities and weapons really come into their own. The game seems to largely be centered around the idea that the way you move matters as much, if not more, than your shooting ability, and I felt that the B point or the central point of the map really demonstrated how good the movement in this game can be. I did, however, have some issues with the mode though. Firstly, it seems like every time the points reset and become neutral again, the only place that was contested was the middle point. That's because both of the other points are so close to the spawns for either team that they were effectively just a gimme flag. Now, don't get me wrong, that system creates some awesome team fights around the central point, but it leaves the other points as just places you need to stand for 10 seconds or so before joining the actual gameplay that's happening on the middle point. I think this could be fixed by either moving the 2 points that are currently near the spawns further away, therefore giving players a genuine decision to make on whether or not to focus on those points, or these points could just be made harder to capture through lengthening the time it takes to capture them, thus allowing the other team to get to the point with a concerted push before it's just locked out on them. Another issue I had is that it's not exactly an inspired game mode. It literally is just domination with a little bit of a twist. And I have my doubts as to whether that'll be enough to interest people in playing Lawbreakers over Overwatch or COD or Battlefield or whatever other games they want to play. Of course, there will be other game modes coming when the game releases, and as far as I'm aware this won't even be the main mode, so maybe some of the other game modes will negate that issue, and honestly I hope it does because I actually had a lot of fun playing Lawbreakers. I like the focus on movement abilities that the classes seem to have, and the gameplay feels very fluid. From the rope swinging assassin to the minigun wielder who's capable of zooming around the map at insane speed, each of the 4 classes currently feels unique and fun to play. I can't help but feel a little worried for Lawbreakers though. Right now I don't see anything that could take market share from any of the big boys. The gameplay just isn't as dynamic as something like Overwatch where team composition is everything, the gunplay isn't as interesting as Call of Duty or Battlefield, and the art style is a little bland. It also can't rely on people loving the characters like they do in Overwatch, where people will create incredible cosplay of Tracer or McCree. I personally can't even remember the names of any of the characters in Lawbreakers, they were that boring and generic. Now, it should be said that the game is obviously still in alpha, and a lot could change between now and the release date, so all of my concerns could easily be addressed. But as it stands right now, I can't help but be worried that this game, which is a hell of a lot of fun, might get overlooked. If I were to suggest a few improvements that aren't game mode based, I'd say that the health system whereby when you're on low health, you have to go to a healing station, which there are only a few of in the entire map in order to regen that health, is incredibly poor. I would much prefer a regeneration system where health packs are scattered throughout the map. I think that would mean less time spent running to health stations and more time in the fight. Because at the moment there are situations whereby it's almost better to just die because it gets you back into the fight faster than spending 20 seconds running to a healing station and then standing there for another 10 seconds waiting for your health to regenerate. Secondly, I'd like to see more classes, as at the moment it seems like, after a couple of hours, you've probably experienced most, if not all of what the game has to offer, and adding more variety in classes, I feel would encourage people to keep coming back to the game. And as we know, keeping up the player base is absolutely key for any multiplayer based game. Admittedly, this would make balance a little more difficult, but I think that if Boss Key are willing to make the changes necessary to balance out all the classes individually, we'd end up with a much better and more content rich game. And my final suggestion would be to just add more low gravity zones. The low gravity area of the map is undoubtedly the most fun part to fight over in my opinion, and adding in more of those areas would make for way more of those cool moments where you have completely different combat than what's available in any other game. These areas wouldn't even need to be constantly low gravity, but could instead develop and change dynamically as the game goes on, creating changing circumstances which more experienced players could even take advantage of. Despite its issues though, I do feel that Lawbreakers has a lot of potential, and I'm crossing my fingers that Boss Key get this one right. So that's about it for today, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, I'd be very appreciative of a like down below, let me know your thoughts on Lawbreakers in the comments, and subscribe for more like this in the future if you haven't already. Anyway, I've been Nathan, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.